Ladies and gents, how are you doing? It's easy to get depressed these days, isn't it? When you know for a fact you're living in an Orwellian hellscape and the law's been specifically set up to target people that dare even hint at a disagreement with the state on social media platforms. But there may be some good news. When the Americans joined the war effort in World War II, Churchill famously said, "The Americans have finally drawn the sword for freedom and cast away the scabbard." And as always, history is clearly going to repeat itself, because Elon Musk, thank God, has been spamming stories about the UK for the last month. Our cousins in the colonies are well aware that British people are living in a country that does things like, well, in fact, I won't just talk about it. I'll show you Exhibit 2735 of two-tier Kia's appalling gulag project for the home nations. From Sky News today, former soldier jailed for stirring up racial hatred with Facebook posts. Daffron Williams, 41, was sentenced to 2 years in prison at Cardiff Crown Court. He will serve up to half of that in prison. Yeah, two obvious ones here. First of all, he sounds like he's actually Welsh because he's called Daffron Williams and not Udu Rudu Kanubu. And secondly, the fact that the headline ends with the term Facebook posts proves the point. Jailed for Facebook posts is ridiculous. That is state-mandated politeness. People are allowed to be racist in the United States, but doesn't happen very often. I've been here for about 10 years. I've never once witnessed it. Funny old thing, the system works. Freedom works. You don't need the state to come in and stomp on your windpipe because you've said something that they don't like. So this story proves him right. It perfectly illustrates why Elon's thrown himself into the mix. And I'm going to follow it with one that will genuinely stagger you when you find out what the guy did who didn't get sent to prison, especially when it's compared with Mr. Williams. So let's get into it, shall we? Right then, in the interest of fairness, I will cover the posts that Mr. Williams made and I'll walk through that story in its entirety. But before we do, let's juxtapose it alongside another recent incident which didn't result in a jail term, shall we? Full disclosure before I start, by the way, this is a real headline, yeah? I didn't make it up. It's so ridiculous, you'd think I made this on Photoshop. Alright, buckle up. From the Daily Mail, this is from August 2024, so just a few months ago. Child, well, you can't use that term on this platform either. We'll just say surprise sex advocate with a penchant for the youth because the system makes him. The system makes him. It's not his fault. He is spared jail due to the prison overcrowding crisis. As the judge admits, it would have been inevitable that you would have gone into custody. Oh, okay then, I feel much better. As long as the judge said, you know, we would have sent you to prison, but it's a little bit crowded in there. As long as he said that, I feel much better. Also, we know the judge is a liar, because when it suits them, i.e. when Mr. Williams sends Facebook posts, funny old thing that can find room for him, can't they? So you have to ask yourselves one question. Is the judge being honest? Is Mr. Williams going to be like, what, housed in a tent in the exercise yard of the local prison? Are they going to build a brand new prison for him? Are they going to shackle him to a radiator in the basement of a local police officer's house? Or have they found a space for him in a prison because he said things the regime don't like? But funny old thing, when you merely destroy the life of the most innocent people in society, children, with one of the most heinous crimes imaginable, a crime that's so bad, I am confident 75% of the country would probably sign up for the death penalty for such people. I know I'm an advocate of it, and I very rarely meet someone who isn't for a crime like that. Not only am I an advocate for it, I would volunteer to do it and save the state some money. I wouldn't even take a salary. I would fly back to the UK once a month and happily carry out the state-mandated executions free of charge. I'd pay for my own flight, and I wouldn't even use a gun to save money on ammunition. I would use the publicly funded brick to render justice to people like this. But guess what? In modern Britain, people like this are released amongst the general public to make room for people like this. Daffron Williams was sentenced to 2 years in prison for stirring up hatred with Facebook posts. Cardiff Crown Court heard that many of Mr. Williams' messages were linked to the widespread disorder that occurred across the country in the summer gone after the Southport stabbings. One post on his account read, "I'm racist as..." Only to those who disrespect society. Well, then he's not really, is he? Prosecuting Alex Orndle said Williams attended a rally in London and one of the speakers was Tony Romo, the man who shall not be named, in Silicon Valley. After the rally, he posted images of himself in attendance and said, "God bless Tony Romo, he's a hero." And they really are the worst posts. That's it. There was nothing about like rounding up and gassing people. Nothing. That's the worst he wrote. And the one about being racist, obviously he was joking because he followed it with only against criminals and awful people, which therefore means you're not really racist, are you? He was having a laugh. And it gets worse. The bloke's a veteran. It says he served as a soldier in Afghanistan and Iraq, so that should be some mitigation, shouldn't it? You can see why you might have a little bit of a problem with the regulars at Allen's world-famous snack bar if several of them were trying to poke holes in him with an AK-47 for half his life. Can't you? His lawyer said the defendant is a man who served his country in the most difficult circumstances and it has given him some ongoing mental disorders, but sentencing Tracy Lloyd Clark couldn't give a monkey's fart. It's a sensitive social climate, you knew exactly what you were doing, and you're going to prison for 2 years. But guess who doesn't go to prison for 2 years? This splendid gentleman, Mr. Rees Newman. What did he do? Shall we read it? If you have a sensitive disposition, I recommend you look away now, or plug your ears. A convicted child struggle snuggle enthusiast escaped jail because of overcrowding. Ross Newman was handed the sentence last December for the attack on a girl under the age of 14 years old, and then he ran away to Egypt without telling any officers. And there we have it. The truth shall set you free. If you violate children in the United Kingdom, they'll let you off with a slapped wrist. You do not go to prison for it. But if you make a quip on Facebook and you've served your country in Iraq and Afghanistan, you get locked in the slammer. Because that definitely makes loads of sense and everybody thinks it's reasonable and logical. Don't they? Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, she wasn't still in nappies, so she was practically asking for it, right? That's what Abu Hamza would have said about it. And clearly, the British legal system are taking direction from our hook-handed friend, aren't they? Oh yeah, and one last thing. The sharp-eyed amongst you will have probably noticed it. Who do you think sentenced a soldier to 2 years in prison for making quips on Facebook? Have a guess. Sentencing Recorder of Cardiff Tracy Lloyd Clark said, "You knew exactly what you were doing," and happily gave him 2 years in the slammer. But when the same lady was sentencing this gentleman who, as we covered earlier, half of the United Kingdom wouldn't piss on if he burst into flames, Judge Tracy Lloyd Clark, Recorder of Cardiff, jailed Newman for 2 months but suspended his imprisonment for 18. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jail for quips. No jail for the worst crime imaginable. Definitely the one of the worst, isn't it? All of society seems united against it. That's why they have humorous acronyms for them, like our pals at North FC there. And that's why all of society despises them and they have to go into prison in a special wing for their own protection because even hardened criminals and bank robbers and drug dealers want to harm them. That is unbelievable. And if Elon Musk saw this video, he'd probably think I was making it up. There's no way. So I'll reference the Musk post that I talked about at the beginning of the video. Britain is going full Stalin. Yes, Elon, yes. So please by God, lobby the Orange Oracle and tell him to once more liberate the people of Europe from overbearing authoritarian sociopaths, all right? It's ironic, isn't it? One of my commenters made this point. Trump is orange, and it may well turn out that he ends up being the new William of Orange, and we have yet another glorious revolution when a foreign chap associated with that hue rocks up to the United Kingdom with a very large navy and says, if you don't let all of these veterans out of prison for saying things you don't like, you spineless, geggy sack of rats, that's Keir Starmer, I'm going to load you into a cannon and shoot you at the White Cliffs of Dover. That would be the ideal scenario. So please, America, free the land of my birth. I'm begging you. All right? That's the video. Both of those stories are absolutely true. I'll put links to them in the footer so you can read them for yourself. Mind-blowing stuff. And it's not even rare. These are the ones we know about. There are thousands of people in British prisons for thought crimes, for words, for disagreeing with the state. It's real. Demolition Man is a documentary and you're living it. So get with the program, all right? And if you're not angry, get angry. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comments and I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.